The dark method 3% of billionaires use to control 97% of people. The forbidden secret that separates WHO dominates from WHO gets dominated. There's a secret that separates the 3% who control everything from the 97% who get controlled. And it's not what you think. It's not money. It's not luck. It's not IQ. It's something way darker and more powerful. They know your total destruction point. You ever wonder why certain people seem to have supernatural power over you? Why a single word from them can completely disarm you? Why one look can make you feel vulnerable like a child? The answer will shock you. They've discovered your Achilles heel. Power law number 33 is the most brutal of all. Discover each person's Achilles heel. But few understand the psychological depth behind the strategy. It's not just about finding weaknesses, it's about turning human vulnerability into a weapon of mass destruction. Think of it this way. You're a medieval castle that looks impenetrable. Your walls are high, your soldiers are strong, your defenses are impressive. But there's always one weak point: a secret passage, a poorly built wall, an unguarded gate. The fear hunter doesn't waste time attacking your strengths. He finds that secret passage and exploits it until you crumble from within. Society programmed us to hide our weaknesses like they're contagious diseases. We pretend to be perfect, invincible, unshakable. But this very need to hide creates the vulnerability point. The master strategist isn't looking for your strengths, he's hunting your deepest fears, your most secret insecurities, your most painful traumas. Imagine a chess game where the pieces are real people. The amateur tries to protect every piece, moves with emotion, fights not to lose anything. The master? He sacrifices pawns, rooks, even the queen if necessary. His mind is focused on one objective: total checkmate. He feels no pity, has no remorse, knows no mercy. His coldness is his greatest weapon. The fear hunter operates like a psychological surgeon. He doesn't attack with brute force, that would be too primitive. He uses emotional scalpels. One word at the right moment. Silence at the exact time. A look that penetrates your soul. He doesn't need to scream to destroy you. He whispers and you collapse. The most terrifying truth is that your humanity, your ability to feel, connect, trust is simultaneously your greatest strength and your greatest weakness. The hunter understands this and uses it against you. He doesn't see you as a person, but as a system of vulnerabilities waiting to be hacked. Here's what nobody tells you. Every person has an emotional self-destruct button. It could be the need for approval, fear of abandonment, shame from a past failure. The fear hunter finds that button and presses it repeatedly until you beg for mercy. The Silicon Valley elite know this. Wall Street sharks live by this. Political masterminds weaponize this. They study human psychology not to heal people, but to control them. They understand that in the game of power, knowledge of someone's weakness is more valuable than nuclear codes. But here's the plot twist that changes everything. Once you understand how this game works, you can flip the script. You can become the hunter instead of the hunted. You can learn to spot these predators before they spot your weaknesses. You can build psychological armor that makes you virtually impenetrable. The action that will transform your life. For the next 7 days, become an invisible observer. Don't reveal anything personal about yourself. When someone asks, "How are you?" answer generically. When someone tries to make you talk about your problems, change the subject. And most importantly, whenever someone smiles at you, mentally ask yourself, what does this person want from me? Feel the power of being impenetrable. This isn't about becoming paranoid or antisocial. It's about developing the psychological intelligence that separates prey from predator. It's about understanding that in the real world, niceness is often a manipulation tactic, and genuine kindness is incredibly rare. If this revelation shocked you, you haven't seen anything yet. What's coming next will completely change how you see every human interaction. Hit that like if you want to discover the darkest secret of all. And comment, "I will dominate," if you're ready to become the hunter instead of the prey. The psychological weapon that makes you mentally invisible and unstoppable. There's a brutal difference between those who conquer everything and those who lose everything. And it has nothing to do with talent or opportunities. It's about a psychological ability that 99% of people consider a weakness. Total emotional coldness. You want to know the difference between an amateur and an absolute master. The amateur enters life's battles with an open heart, full of passion and emotion. He fights for pride, moves from anger, makes decisions based on feelings. And because of that, he's completely predictable. His emotions are like a detailed map of his next moves. Power Law 15 reveals a truth that few can handle: crush your enemy totally. But the surface interpretation of this law is just the beginning. True mastery lies in becoming emotionally dead to the external world. When you feel nothing, you become impossible to read, manipulate, or predict. Think of a professional assassin in movies, not to glamorize violence, but for strategic coldness. He doesn't kill from anger, passion, or emotion. He kills because it's a job. His emotions are disconnected from his actions. This disconnection is what makes him lethal. You need to apply the same coldness to your social and professional interactions. The world is full of emotional vampires who feed on your reactions. They provoke you to see your anger. They compliment you to see your vanity. They criticize you to see your insecurity. Every emotional reaction you have is valuable information they'll use against you later. But when you become an emotional ghost, you leave them starving. Here's the secret nobody tells you. Your emotions are the operating system others use to hack you. Anger makes you make impulsive decisions. Fear paralyzes you. Sadness weakens you. Joy makes you drop your guard. The master strategist shuts down this operating system and operates purely on cold logic. Imagine you're a super advanced computer. Your emotions are like viruses that corrupt your decision-making processes. When you remove these viruses, when you become brutally logical, you process information with superhuman clarity. You see patterns others can't see. You anticipate moves others can't predict. Coldness isn't about being cruel or heartless. It's about creating surgical separation between what you feel internally and how you act externally. You can feel anger, but your face remains impassive. You can feel fear, but your movements remain calculated. You can feel love, but your decisions remain strategic. The power of coldness lies in the unpredictability it creates. When people can't read your emotions, they become anxious, insecure, vulnerable. They start projecting their own fears onto you. They start imagining terrible scenarios about what you might be thinking. And their anxiety becomes your greatest advantage. Navy SEALs are trained in this emotional detachment. Special Forces operators learn to separate feelings from mission objectives. Corporate CEOs who dominate their industries practice this same psychological discipline. They understand that in high-stakes situations, emotions are luxuries they can't afford. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think coldness means being a robot or sociopath. That's amateur thinking. True coldness is about emotional intelligence on steroids. You feel everything, but you control how and when those feelings influence your actions. You become the director of your emotional movie instead of just an actor in it. The most successful people in history, from Julius Caesar to Steve Jobs, mastered this art. They could inspire passion in others while remaining internally detached from outcomes. They could make others feel deeply while keeping their own emotions as tools rather than masters. Here's the exercise that will revolutionize your life. Identify your biggest emotional trigger, that situation that always makes you lose control. Maybe it's when someone questions your competence, ignores you, or contradicts you publicly. The next time this happens, do something radical. Smile slightly and stay silent for 10 complete seconds. Count mentally. Watch the person become uncomfortable with your silence. Feel the power of controlling the situation through your non-reaction. This technique alone is worth more than years of expensive therapy. But what's coming next will show you how to turn your own vulnerability into the most lethal weapon that exists. Smash that like if you felt the power of this coldness. Comment, "Invincible Ghost," if you're ready for the next level of mental control. How to turn your biggest weakness into the most lethal weapon that exists. I'm about to teach you a technique so powerful that governments use it to topple entire countries. And the most shocking part, you can apply this to any social or professional situation. But warning, once you know this, you can never see people the same way again. Most people try to hide their weaknesses like their crimes. They build elaborate masks, create false personas, pretend to be what they're not, But manipulation masters do exactly the opposite. They transform vulnerability into irresistible bait. Think about the most effective spies in history. They didn't infiltrate by pretending to be invincible superheroes. They posed as ordinary, vulnerable, even pathetic people. They told sad stories, revealed false weaknesses, created emotional connections, and when their targets completely lowered their guard, they struck. The psychology behind this strategy is diabolical in its simplicity. Humans are programmed to help those who seem vulnerable. It's a primitive survival instinct of the species. When you reveal controlled weakness, you activate people's protection system. They want to help you, advise you, save you. And in that process, they reveal their own secrets, their own vulnerabilities. Here's the secret few discover. There's an abyssal difference between genuine vulnerability and strategic vulnerability. Genuine leaves you defenseless. Strategic gives you total control over the situation. You choose exactly which weakness to reveal, when to reveal it, to whom to reveal it, and with what intensity. Imagine you're an experienced fisherman. You don't use just any bait, you choose the specific bait that will attract exactly the fish you want. Your strategic vulnerability works the same way. Want your boss to trust you? Reveal a small, controllable professional insecurity. Want someone to open up to you? Share a past mistake that taught you a lesson. The power of this technique lies in psychological reciprocity. When you open up first, you create an emotional debt. The person feels obligated to reciprocate with their own confidences. But while your revelation was calculated and harmless, their revelations are genuine and valuable. You just collected precious emotional intelligence. Roman senators were masters of this art. They approached their rivals pretending vulnerability, asking for advice, showing respect for others' wisdom. And while their targets felt important and confident, the senators collected information they'd later use to destroy them politically. The dagger was always hidden under the friendly toga. Silicon Valley executives use this constantly. They'll reveal a struggle with work-life balance to make you comfortable sharing your own challenges. Venture capitalists will mention their failures to get entrepreneurs to open up about their real problems. Sales masters will share personal weaknesses to build trust before closing deals. But be careful. This technique has a dark side. The more you use it, the more you realize that almost all human interactions are transactional. You start seeing people not as unique individuals, but as systems of vulnerabilities and opportunities. This clarity can be liberating, but it can also be isolating. The practical application of this technique requires surgical precision. Choose a person you need to influence, could be a colleague, boss, business partner. Identify a small weakness of yours that's relatable, but not harmful. For example, I always get nervous before important presentations, or sometimes I question if I'm making the right decisions. Share this in a casual moment and observe how the person reacts. Do they offer support? Share something similar. Use the information to diminish you. This reaction gives you valuable information about their character and intentions. The real power of this technique isn't in manipulating good people, it's in identifying dangerous people. When you offer small vulnerability and the person tries to use it against you, you just identified a predator. And now you can protect yourself, or if necessary, use their own weapons against them. Corporate America runs on this principle. Every team-building exercise, every authentic leadership seminar, every vulnerability-based management training is designed to get you to lower your guard. The smart players participate, but never fully engage. They share calculated vulnerabilities while collecting real intelligence on their colleagues. This technique alone has changed thousands of lives. But what's coming now is the final secret: how to unite all these weapons into a complete personal domination system. If you've made it this far, you're no longer the same person. Hit like if you understood the power of strategic vulnerability. Comment, Master Manipulator, if you're ready for the ultimate secret, the Billionaires morning ritual that transforms you into a power machine. There's a morning ritual practiced by the most powerful individuals in the world. They never talk about it publicly because they understand their power depends on others staying weak. Today, you'll discover this ritual and how it can transform you into an unstoppable force. If you've made it this far, your mind has been completely reprogrammed. You're no longer a naive amateur who believes in fantasies of universal goodness. You've embraced distrust as wisdom, coldness as a tool, and manipulation as art. But now comes the most important part: how to integrate all this into a mental operating system that makes you truly unstoppable. Most people live in reactive mode. They wake up and let the world decide how they feel, think, and act. Their moods depend on traffic, weather, random comments from strangers. Their leaves in the wind, completely at the mercy of external forces. But you're going to learn to live in creative mode where you don't react to the world, you create your own reality. The secret is understanding that your mind is like an army, and every army needs discipline, training, and leadership to be effective. Without structure, even the bravest soldiers become a chaotic crowd. With the right structure, even mediocre soldiers become a devastating force. Think about the great military strategists in history. Napoleon didn't wake up and wait to see what kind of day he'd have. He woke up, analyzed the battlefield, defined his objectives, and executed his plans with surgical precision. His mind was a war machine calibrated for victory, and that's exactly what you need to become. The hunter's ritual I'm about to teach you isn't about hippie meditation or empty positive affirmations. It's about transforming your mind into a psychological weapon. It's about training your consciousness to operate like a supreme predator that sees opportunities where others see only problems. Here's how it works. Every day, before any interaction with the external world, you'll dedicate exactly 10 minutes to calibrating your predatory mind. First, you'll remind yourself that distrust isn't paranoia, it's applied intelligence. You'll visualize 3 situations where your distrust protected you or could have protected you from manipulators. Next, you'll activate your emotional coldness system. Remember that your emotions are information, not commands. You can feel anger, but you don't need to act with anger. You can feel fear, but you don't need to be paralyzed by it. You're the CEO of your emotions, not their employee. Then, you'll sharpen your strategic influence capability. Define a specific person you need to influence today. Could be a boss you need to impress, a client you need to win over, or even a family member you need to motivate. Visualize exactly how you'll use controlled vulnerability, calculated coldness, and predatory observation to achieve your objective. Finally, you'll reaffirm your primary purpose. Not what society expects from you, not what your parents dreamed for you, but what you really want to conquer. Your goal shouldn't be making everyone happy, it should be building the kind of life that makes you feel real power. This 10-minute morning ritual is your psychological armor. It's like wearing invisible clothing that protects you from manipulators, gives you superhuman mental clarity, and transforms you into someone others instinctively respect and fear at the same time. The difference between you and 99% of people will be brutal. While they wake up as potential victims, you wake up as a calibrated predator. While they react emotionally to provocations, you respond strategically. While they let themselves be manipulated by anyone with charisma, you see through all masks. But be careful. This power comes with responsibility. When you become mentally superior to others, you have 2 choices: use this power to build a better world, or use it only for personal benefit. The choice is yours. But remember, real power isn't about dominating the weak. It's about being strong enough to protect those who deserve protection. American success stories from Carnegie to Bezos understood this principle. They didn't just accumulate wealth, they accumulated psychological advantages. They trained their minds like Navy SEALs train their bodies. They understood that in the game of life, mental conditioning separates winners from losers. You just received knowledge worth more than any college degree. This is the moment of your total transformation. If you want more secrets like these, smash that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because every video on this channel will give you a new psychological weapon. Comment, "I am the hunter," if you're ready to dominate your reality. And share this video with someone who still lives as prey, because every hunter needs a pack. The game has changed, and you just became the most dangerous player on the board.